The masterminding, the collaboration, the collective unity and rah-rah that we do for one another, I think is so powerful. And those things are not static.
You are watching the 10-4 at R4 podcast, recorded live at RE/MAX R4 2020 from the MGM Grand Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. In this episode, we discuss
Content creation
with
Kendall Bonner
of
RE/MAX Capital Realty
from
Tampa, Florida, baby.
Now, here are your hosts, Jesse Peters and Michael Thorne.
Welcome to the 10-4 at R4 podcast. I am Michael Thorne of RE/MAX Lifestyles Realty in Langley, BC. And in that chair right there, my co-host,
Jesse, drumroll please, Peters, from RE/MAX Executives, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Yeah, I just took a protein bar called Tiger's Milk. So I think I'm already instantly feeling it.
I'm just checking my phone. I don't know if you can see that. I've got a missed Facebook Messenger call from Kendall Bonner, who's our next guest. I just checked it now, and luckily she's sitting right with us already.
She found us.
Kendall Bonner, thanks for joining us. 10-minute podcast. You do podcasting. You know what it's like. We don't have the time in 10 minutes to sort of have a little chit-chat, so we're going to just dig right into it. And what we've decided to chat with you about is content creation, specifically from that broker perspective. And so you are a broker owner.
Correct.
And you create a lot of content, not only for your brokerage, but I think one of the things that I admire most about you, and there's a ton of things I do, is that absolute lead by example you have. And your idea, you've said it over and over again, is that to get to the teach part, you've got to do two things before you can get to the teach part, which I have so much respect. So what are those other two steps before you get to the teach?
100%. It's learn. I've got to learn everything that I can about the things that make what the agents that I work with do better. And then I need to go out and test it, make sure it actually works. And then I can, in a way, earn the right to actually teach it, right? So it's learn, test, teach.
And I love that. And that's the amazing thing about what you and I speak about, whatnot. Nothing we've ever said is something I haven't really done. And I think our industry needs more and more of those people to, once you've done it and you've touched it and you know, then you can actually teach it.
And that's the thing. You can't preach what you don't practice. And in today's world, the BS meter is so high.
100%.
And when it comes to recruiting and broker content and team lead and deciding where to go and what to join or why to stay and to promote, that BS meter's got to be down and it's got to be connecting. And I think that's kind of what we're jumping into from a broker, owner, leader standpoint.
I absolutely agree, because the thing is that as much as we talk to agents about how they need to build know, like, trust with the consumer, I've got to build know, like, trust with the agent. And one of the ways that I do that is by creating content that is teaching them how to do their job better. And how do they say no to that?
And one of the amazing things we talk about, and we've talked about in this podcast, if you share some content out and you share people get to know what it would be like to work with Jesse Peters.
Exactly.
As a broker owner, when you share content, as a agent, I know what it would like to be working in that office. And as we see office culture becoming more and more important, and it should, the only really way to taste the culture of an office is to sort of see it and hear it. No text, no blog post is going to share that. So that's super valuable for people in your marketplace to go, you know what, I wonder what it would be like to work, with Kendall Bonner. They get a really good sense of that, and no other medium can do that.
Absolutely. Video has changed my business. I mean, it really has allowed, it's through the teachings that I've done through the videos and even the podcast for that matter, that agents are getting to meet me before they actually ever meet me and decide and either be attracted to what I'm doing or repelled by it. You and I have talked about that so many times. And that works for me, because then it allows, when I go to reach out to them, because I use a lot of social media to do my recruiting, to make relationships, to grow them and deepen them and build them, right? I can then DM them. I don't even have to pick up the phone, and they're pretty responsive because they feel like they already know me. And it's worked really, really well. In fact, I've had them, reach out to me because they watched so many videos and they know it's something they're missing in their business, and they'd love to be in a culture that was more of that.
Yeah. And isn't that incredible? it's the same experience for home shopping or utilizing video for showcasing homes or being in video to showcase who you are. Usually the first time they're in the house, it's the second or third time they've watched it, or second or third time they've already seen it. So, or if they're calling you, they've already interviewed you already. So you're getting right to kind of the cookies and cream, the sweet stuff, the nuts and the bolts, the cookies and cream. I don't even know where that came from, but it's
a Winnipeg
amazing.
term.
It is now. The same formula can work from a broker owner standpoint.
It's the same skill set. I've said that so many times. When I remember, I used to be a lawyer. Well, I still am a lawyer. But when I was doing that whole eat what you kill, if you don't kill, you don't eat, appointment setting, grind, meeting with customers, right, to get them to hire me as their lawyer, I translated that same exact skill set into a listing agent, right? As soon as I got my real estate license, I was immediately a listing agent. First deal, first closing, first everything was listings. It was the same skill set. Then when I went to become a broker owner and start recruiting, it was the same skill set. Had to make the phone calls, had to set the appointment, had to learn how to objection handle. It was all the same skill sets. And so I found that even though I don't sell real estate anymore, I still use a lot of the same skill sets. They're applicable in that arena, and then I can take those skills that I've learned and then test them, test the new things that I learned and teach the agent how to do their job better.
Let's tie that back into this morning's session at R4, where one of the things that Nick Bailey asked was, how many times do you have to deal with objections to your commission? And you and I sort of looked to each other and said 0, and when that's not the normal thing of the audience. I think when you have the ability through video and other ways to demonstrate your value, your expertise at such a high level that people want you to be their agent, that objection to commission is gone. I think much like a broker, when the value is so much more than a telephone and a desk, when the value is so high for leadership and for mentoring, I would imagine, Kendall, that you're not getting people that are just care about desk fee. Your value is so much higher than that. And I think there's a lot of brokers out there that have a ton of value but don't have the medium to articulate that their value is of that, and therefore find themselves having discussions about desk fees and splits.
You're absolutely right. I think that's the problem, though. They do have the medium to do it. They're just not taking advantage of it, right? Which is getting out there on video, being the leading by example, like we talked about. If they would just get out there and express their value over and over and over again. There's a book called Fanocracy, and I highly recommend people go pick this up because it's about how to create raving fans. And one of the lessons and that they talk about in there is that give more than you get, or give more than you have to. That's what it was. Give more than you have to. Give more. And that is what I try to do. It's like free content, free information, free education, free learning. And I think that's what we should be doing for consumers as well, which I know that you guys agree with.
You've seen it.
Yes. And, it's that kind of mindset that allows people to get to know us before they ever know us.
But I think one of the fear, too, as well, is giving the content away for free, is if that is your only value prop, was that information, then you don't have anything more. And that should be the start of your value proposition, is the information. There's so much the guide portion of the story, of the journey. I need my broker all the time, and I need to know them. They're here, and I have 26 years in the business, and I still need that mentorship, that sounding board. So giving away any of the information, your value should be so much greater than that, and that's the way it should be also for agents. It shouldn't be just, I've got information and you don't. Correct.
Yeah, and information and education is not static, right? It's constant.
And more so now than ever.
Yes, and so even as you give it away, there's always more and new information to acquire and then to also reshare. And so I love it. And I think that part of being a great broker too, and I know one of the things I know my agents love that we do is the accountability piece, the consulting and accountability piece, and the masterminding, the collaboration, the collective unity and rah-rah that we do for one another, I think is so powerful. And those things are not static. You can't even, it's even hard to articulate in words
and one
the
of the
meaningfulness of all of that.
And one of the things I think the value that we do, Jesse, in a 2020 world is beforehand, before you got into the business, we were the gateway to the information, and they had to come through us to get it. Now I think with the internet, there is so much information and there's so much noise that it's our job to help them make sense of it. And I think as a broker too as well, from 1990 to 2005, the industry didn't change so much. And now it changes so much that we need that advocate to make sense of all the technology, all the opportunities, all the pitfalls that are only going to keep coming more and more as the years go on.
Absolutely.
Now it's time for the R4 Rapid 4.
All right, Kendall, here we go. We are here, and at the beginning of the podcast, we asked you to roll the dice 4 times, like almost everyone, outside maybe 2 people. You just did it. You didn't ask why, what for. In Jesse's hands, he's holding 10 silly, nonsensical questions, numbered 1 through 10, and your roll of dice determined which 4 answers or 4 questions you will get posed that we would like answers for. So, Jesse, Kendall's first roll was number 7.
How long would you last in a zombie apocalypse?
3 minutes.
Oh,
Wow.
Now that
I
is
think
so.
that's-
Now, do you think it's because you would have like tripped on something, or like got stuck going over a fence, so you'd just be like tap out, like I don't need to live in the world this way.
So, though I live in Florida, I am such a city girl. I have no survival skills.
But I think
She's out.
I would just bet on your determination. You just seem like you'd figure it out. All right, question number 3.
It's a world she doesn't want to live in.
No.
Correct. I would not.
Number 3. What is the weirdest thing you have seen in someone else's home when you were a realtor?
A snake.
Wow, that's
How big?
Florida. That's
That was. I have a phobia with snakes, although I go into fight mode as opposed to flight. You know, but.
but she wouldn't last in a zombie apocalypse. That
Right?
doesn't say.
It wasn't
That's
take on a
true.
boa constrictor.
That's true. I didn't like that. I didn't show a lot of properties. It was actually a listing,
Yeah,
and so
okay.
I had to have them cover it up, and it was
Sure.
a pretty decent sized snake, and it was not
Okay,
cool.
she has a phobia. Let's stop the talking.
Number
Yeah.
5.
In 40 years from now, what will people be nostalgic for?
The music. I think the music keeps changing, and it keeps evolving, and we're losing some of the emotion of it. You know, music used to tell a story, and it used to. Now I feel like the stories they're not there anymore.
Just
It's-
templated.
It's so different.
Here's the beat to get you a million views or $1 million bucks. That's it. Not
Right.
made from.
Yeah.
All right, and our last question, number 6.
Classic question, Michael Thorne. We ask ourselves this every single day. How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
Just one.
That is the correct
How would that
answer.
one do it?
He'd flap his wings in his mouth.
Oh,
He'd choke.
Choke.
You get in there? Yeah.
That's amazing. That brings us to the end of this episode of the 10-4 podcast with our guest, Kendall Bonner. Thanks for joining us. My co-host is the fearless,
No, we did that one already.
exuberant
Yes, indeed.
Jesse Peters, and I'm Michael Thorne. We'll see you in the next episode. Over and out.
That's this week's episode of the 10-4 at R4 podcast with your hosts Jesse Peters and Michael Thorne. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thank you for watching.